All right. Well, the next match was one that I actually had some hope for, and those were quickly dashed on the rocks of the Booker of the Year. Bryan Danielson against Chris Jericho. And on this one, again, it was running, and I skipped the entrances because I figured, well, I told Stace, I said, I'll be back in like 10 minutes because they'll still be singing Judas. And he took Judas away from him, at least. Didn't have him sing Judas.
Well, no, he was doing Lionheart again. Remember, he can morph back and forth into his various different characters. He's Chris Jericho, the professional wrestler. Then there's the Painmaker, who's a wrestler who creates pain for himself and others, including the viewing audience. Then there's Lionheart, who's kind of the Chris Jericho you want to remember from the early days of WCW and from ECW, and some may even confuse it and think Smoky Mountain Wrestling, but that Chris Jericho, it's like Mick Foley and the three faces of Foley. There are many faces of Chris Jericho.
Well, yeah, I think you're wrong there. If Jericho was two-faced, he would not be wearing the one he's got on now. Come on now. But having said, does Lionheart have a theme? Was that like the B-side of MacArthur Park by Richard Harris? Sounds like something he'd sing, Lionheart. So they started off, Danielson and Jericho, they were taking their time and actually trying to have a wrestling match. If there was anything at all left to do that the people in this building and watching this show had not seen already, it might have gotten over. But they're 3 hours and 45 minutes into wrestling and plus time in their seats beforehand, and I didn't see the people really, the AEW crowds are always hot, especially for these big events, so it's more noticeable when they're not hot and when they're cooling off in front of your eyes. And I don't know, I was numb at this point. The match happened in front of me. Nothing really stood out as particularly good or bad, besides Jericho not being able to keep the ass of his pants up. But all I could pay attention to by this point is the length of everything, because I'm wondering, will I live long enough to see the end of this show? And they went 20 minutes, had to. So, they had a match, and then, shit started kicking in at the end, like I said, as best they could, but it looked all the same to me by that point. And Danielson went for the roll-up. But they trapped Aubrey in the corner, and while she's covering herself up from getting hit and saying, "Nay, don't hit me," Jericho mule kicked Danielson in the nuts and hit the Judas effect and beat Bryan Danielson 1, 2, 3. Flat as 4 o'clock. So this is going to go on, too, between Danielson and Jericho. We couldn't just get, we had the nice little hyperbole for this match, and now can Danielson win anything anymore? I guess it's going to go on somehow. So now Danielson's stuck with Jericho and being in the Blackpool Combat Club at the same time, while Jericho's going through this goddamn dramatic foreshadowing with the illustrious Danny Garcia.
Oh, it's the worst.
Who is one of these days is going to be able to speak out loud whether or not he's a wrestler or a sports entertainer. So, your brief comments on Jericho's efforts here, and can somebody chip in and get him a belt?
Well, the stuff with him and Garcia was cringeworthy, and it's been for a while, because Garcia's acting like, I don't know, like the girlfriend of like the football player. I don't know what the hell this whole thing is, this dynamic of he's afraid to admit his real feelings to Chris Jericho, and I don't know what the hell's going on with this. Jericho drags everyone down.
Jericho is the one major star, the one veteran that has come in there and said, fuck it, I'm going to drop every single one of my principles and just play with the cool kids. And I think that's why he's staying heat-free for the most part.
It's all about him. And we said it about Kingston earlier. Look at how Kingston came out of that Jericho feud. We said Jericho realizes Kingston's hot. He's going to want to work with him. He did. And we said what was going to happen. Bryan Danielson What has this feud done for him so far? He got concussed, got pinned in that garbage match, couldn't wrestle for a while, lost to Daniel Garcia, and now he lost again to Jericho. How has he come out of any of this? That may be one of the biggest booking problems of all the booking problems in AEW. Bryan Danielson, since the return of Jon Moxley, and I'm not trying to put it on Moxley, but that's kind of the cutoff date. Danielson's going to do what he wants to do. But maybe Tony Khan should have him do something else. This is a waste of him. And the match went so long, the crowd didn't care. Why would they? This is not what they want to see.
The thing is, Tony is trying to make young new stars off of his established stars. And that, in theory, is a fine thing to do. But the problem is he's picking the wrong young new stars to have the established stars put over, and it's ending up just damaging the established stars. And the only one of the established stars that's not putting young new talent over is Jericho. He wins in the end every time, and he's stopping the momentum of all the people that he beats. And it's go ahead.
If I asked you to guess, let's say in a fantasy world, who will be the next legend? Not even legend. What am I talking about? Who will be the next wrestler that Chris Jericho will completely derail? Do you think you could do it in this fantasy world?
Well, I don't know if I ought to tell you who I pick. Maybe I ought to instead keep that information secret and go over to PrizePicks.com. And maybe I can win some money on this thing. You know, you explained to me how this whole PrizePicks deal works and how people can, you don't have to play against other people, against other crooks out there that may know more than you, because after all, anybody smarter than you is a crook or an asshole. Well, you don't have to play against other people. It's you versus the projections, right, Brian? You just play against the projections. What might happen?
What a great tag team name, the Projections.
You know, that would be nice. You could have one could be front and one could be rear. That way you'd have both sides covered. Anyway, folks, I'll tell you what sides you're going to have covered with the folks at PrizePicks. They offer projections on every single sport that you might watch. NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, all kinds of alphabet soup, basketball, football, soccer, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, even disc golf, and entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. You can make safe and fast withdrawals. You don't even need to pull your gun to make a withdrawal at PrizePicks. All you got to do is go to PrizePicks.com or download the PrizePicks app. I might have to get Stacy on that. She's good with those apps. And you can play the daily fantasy sports. And let's say, for example, your favorite football player. Let's say, for example, Slopko Sadovich, your favorite football player. He's playing for the East St. Louis Mud Hens. Let's say you think that he's going to score 17 touchdowns in the same game. And all you got to do is put your money where your mouth is. And if he does that, then you win a bunch of money. And right now, first-time users at PrizePicks get a 100% instant deposit match with the promo code JCE. All you got to do is give them $100 and they'll give you another $100. If you give them $50, they'll give you another $50. They'll match whatever up to $100. And then you play with that money. And boy, howdy, if you know your business and you do it right, why, you could be on Easy Street, farting through silk. I mean, shitting in tall cotton. And don't forget to enter the promo code JCE when you sign up for an instant deposit match of up to $100. What are you going to do, Brian, with your free $100?
Well, I'm going to put it back. I'm going to reinvest it in PrizePicks and try to make more with my $100.
Yes, because that's what you do with your money. Whenever you get money, you put it back in and you try to make more. You win money at a casino, what's the first thing you do? You put it right back in. You get a payoff from an insurance settlement or Winning a lawsuit, what's the first thing you do? You put it right back in more insurance or more lawsuits. That's a way to make money. PrizePicks.com, promo code JCE.